Hi everyone, Beth Rush here from Beth's Paper Cuts, and I have been asked to make a tutorial for Splitcoaststampers. Of course I said yes. It's my favorite website. I go to it probably 5 times a week, maybe more. Should I admit to maybe daily? Probably. Anyway, I go there all the time. They have amazing tutorials and great resources, and you can type in the name of a stamp set from multiple companies and so many samples will pop up and you can see what other people are doing with it. So it's a great stamp set. I use it all the time. So of course I was honored to make a tutorial again for them. And I am doing a tutorial called a flip flap card because it flips and flaps. And I've got a couple different versions here. And I'm going to show you how to put this together. The mechanism is pretty easy, so once you've got the mechanism down, you're going to be able to make a variety, because the decoration on the front really isn't the important part. You can use squares like I've done here, and you can see I've layered a whole bunch of different sizes, but on this one I used a rectangle, so you can just put whatever you want on top of your mechanism, and you can have all kinds of fun shapes that'll work with so many different stamp sets. You're not limited to just the square. You can work with what you have, and that's what makes it so fun. So you need a few basic size pieces of cardstock. I'm making the card a standard A2 size, so that means that it's a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock that's been cut down the center at 5.5 and then scored at 4.25 to make an A2 size greeting card. You're also going to need a 3.5 by 4 3/4 piece of cardstock, and this kind of is an important size because it works with the classic label punch, which is what we're going to use for the slot that the mechanism goes through. So this is a punch that you can, it's a standard size and it only goes so far, so that's why this measurement is important. Now if you're going to cut your slot out with an exacto knife or something other than this, then you can play around with your sizing. And this is the arm that does all the flipping and flapping, and that's cut at 2 inches by 6. And so that's an important one, and it works with the measurements of the punch that we're using. Now this piece is just an added piece that I've used as a mat, so this is not as important. It's 4 by 5 1/4, and you can decide to use that or not. As you see on this card, I didn't use a mat around my designer series paper. It's not important, but on this one I did use an extra layer, so it's kind of up to you how decorated you want your cards to be. Alright, so that's our cardstock pieces, and let's show you how to put it together. Really quickly, while I have it, I want to open these for you. This one is from Beautiful Bouquet. Love isn't in the falling, it's in the staying there. And then it says happy anniversary on the inside. And this one's kind of funny. You'll always be my friend, you know too much. It's kind of a funny little card. So, and then I've got the one we're going to work on together is the how's it going? Kind of cute little card. And you can come up with so many different combinations. That's the great thing about Splitcoaststampers too, is that you can go to the gallery and put in flip flap card and find a resource of what everybody else is doing, and come up with even more ideas for the flip flap card. Okay, we're going to work on our mechanism first. So this is scored, that 2 inches by 6 inches is scored at 2 inches and then again at 2.5. So then you've got a longer piece after the score line. On that longer piece after the score line, you want to punch with something that's got a hole punch in it. So I'm using a newer tag topper punch, which is called the Delightful Tag Topper. I like it because it has kind of a shorter profile on top of the little hole. There's not a lot of cardstock left over on tops, and you kind of don't want too much left over in this case. I'm talking about the space here, because you want it to still fit within the card and not stick out so that it doesn't fit in the envelope anymore. So this one works great. There's a lot of tag topper punches out there, and there's even some dies that do this as well. Or you can use a hole punch and just round your corners if you don't have one. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and fold on the 2.5 inch score line. You don't really have to fold the 2 inch score line just yet. Now I decided for my card that I wanted to decorate this piece, and you can use designer series paper or cardstock. I'm going to decorate my cardstock with the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. And all I'm going to do is, I wanted to kind of give it a whitewash look, so I'm going to run my stamp pad over the embossing folder on the bumpy side, that's this one, just to add some white ink. Before I put it through the machine. Alright, I'm going to do that and be right back. Okay, so I've got my whitewashed wood here, and I'm going to take that paper punch. This is called the Classic Label, and you're going to put it in as far as it will go. And you can put it up or down. It'll just depend on where your flap's going to be. I kind of put it right in the middle. There you go. So now you're going to take this little arm mechanism and you're going to slip it through the slot. Oops. I want to point out that there's a little bit more space on one side than the other, and I put it through the side that had more space. Okay, so you want to slip it through here, and then you're going to move that arm to where the little hole punch is just outside this cardstock. So it's, the hole is just barely there. And then you want to tape that down. Now you only want to tape in one spot. I'm using tear tape because it's strong and it'll stay nice. I think that with movement cards it's important to use a strong adhesive. Now we're only going to put one length of tear tape right here on the end. That's it. You don't want any adhesive on here because you need this card to be able to move. There we go. Now see how we've still got that one score line open. And that's what's going to happen, is that's going to pull underneath. And that's going to cause your flip flap action. So it's only adhered right behind here at the edge, and you've positioned it to where the hole is right outside your panel, your cardstock here. Okay, now you're just going to decorate it. Once you've got this piece, the cardstock piece and this arm, you can pretty much do anything you want, which is the great part about this card. You can add bigger or little pieces on top. You do want to cover your mechanism. So if you've got a tag topper punch that's skinnier, you can use that too. I happen to have tag topper punches that are 2 inches, so that's why my square is 2 inches. So you see what you have, and you can customize this in so many ways. I'm customizing it with this cute little barn door and this adorable little cow. How's it going? I love it. So I'm going to tape this down. I'm going to put it kind of low because I want my door towards the bottom, towards the ground of my fake barn here. You only want to adhere inside that score line. Remember that score line? And that's where the inside flap piece is going to go. And I'm biasing it low, as you can see. Sometimes you'd want to center it, like on this card. I centered my squares. For the cow, I'm going low. And then your top flap goes on that little 1/2 inch area there, which is a great area to use the tear tape, I think, because you can just stick one little strip down, and now you're going to go ahead and put your top panel on top of it. Now you want to make this bigger than this, so whatever you've done on this panel, make this a little bit bigger, definitely at least a 1/2 inch bigger, because that's how big this is. So just as a side note, there is a die that cuts out this barn door, but it gets a little too close, and I needed it to cover the cow, so I I used my paper trimmer to cut around this barn door a little bit extra paper you can see on the edges of that image, because I wanted it to cover the cow. So that's what that is. If you ever go to make this at home and you're using your die and you say it doesn't fit over the cow, that's why. Just that little extra cardstock makes all the difference. So there's my flapping motion, and after you've got that, you can decorate this any way you want. Now I wanted to put it on a little bit of a mat just so there's more going on. If you do decide to mat yours, you want to make sure to not put adhesive behind this arm. You're going to make sure to only put adhesive on the outside. I'm using tear tape again because it's strong, and cards with movement get played around a lot with, so I want to make sure it holds up. So as you can see, I left this area completely void of adhesive. now I'm just going to put this on my card base. And you can decorate your barn door any way you like. I've decided on this one that I'm going to put a little wreath, and a little welcoming wreath on my barn door. Which is from the same stamp set as the barn door stamp set. I'll show it to you real quick. Here's the wreath. Here's that door. And like I said, you can put anything you want on this. You can decorate these in so many different ways. I think this one is really pretty. So this can be a really pretty florally card, a really cutesy card. Forgot the important part, a little bit of ribbon. So whoever gets this card is going to see that ribbon. They're going to know that they're supposed to pull. I looped my ribbon in half. I'm going to go ahead and slip it through that hole. And pull it, and then you can trim this up. You can even add a little dot of glue. I like to do that. It's going to set it there. It's not going to come loose. Just the tiniest little dot, and pull it, and that's going to keep that ribbon together. It's not going to come apart on you. Like so. And you can trim this up, and there you've got a fun little flip-flap card, and you can decorate your barn however you want. You can add flowers behind your card. I would love to see what you're going to do with this layout, this template of the flip-flap card. So I hope that you will upload what you make at the Split Coast Stampers Gallery. Be sure to put flip-flap card in your description of your card so that we can all see it and see what you're doing with this idea. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.